Another edition of Wings Weekly starts now. Coach Scott Langer, of course, joining me. And my name is Jay Klein-Connect. Coach, a tough weekend. It's never fun to talk about a weekend like that, but that's kind of what we got to do. Friday, 4-2 loss. An empty netter sealed the deal over there in St. Cloud. Your power play went 0-4, penalty kill 2-5, and shots on goal 23 for the Wings. St. Cloud had 31. When you broke down film, when you were looking at it during, Saturday during the day or Friday night or whatever, what did you see from that matchup there at the MAC in St. Cloud?
Well, it was pretty simple. We gave up 2 face-off goals on the penalty kill. So that was the difference in the game, really, honestly. And, the first 2 periods, they were just honest. They played really well. We played really bad. And we tried to come back at the end, but, at that point, the game was kind of gone. But we didn't play well. Guys know it. We know it. Everybody knows it. We just didn't play well.
Well, you scored, like you said, 2 goals technically on the clock, 7 seconds. And it felt like, oh, wait a minute, maybe this isn't over just yet. But the execution wasn't quite there, and so on throughout the majority of the game. And like you said, you kind of run out of time. You kind of put your back against the wall. But you chalk that up. It is what it is. You try to come out swinging on Saturday night. Unfortunately, that ends up in a 3-0 loss. Power play went 0-6, and the PK was strong. Shut them down on 4 chances. Both teams had 23 shots on goal. For a team that has proven the ability to score goals, it didn't really seem like that was the case this weekend. A little bit of struggle in that regard. What do you attribute that to? Was it them defensively or schematically that they were doing something different, or was it just something on your end or on the?
I think there's a little bit of both. I think they had really good goaltending. Their goalie handled a lot of those chances that we did have. They were quick to pressure. They were on their toes. We were on our heels. And, when you're like that, you're not going to have a whole lot of success scoring-wise. So that was what it was. Saturday was a much better game. It was basically a nothing game until we turned the puck over on the power play, and it was a 1-0 game. Obviously, we gave up a couple empty nets trying to tie the game up. But, the effort was a lot better, but not good enough.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know. In my mind, I think to myself that that's not really something that we've seen from this group. There was times last year or, whenever that there have been chances where you kind of look at it and go, the effort, maybe really wasn't there. But this group has been working really hard. And I kind of struggled with it. We were on the bus going home, and I was kind of thinking about what was different. Was it something about the approach, or is that something that occurs to you guys as a coaching staff too? Like, what changed?
Well, it's hard to figure that out sometimes, because you haven't seen it out of your group, and the last 2 games it surfaced. So obviously it's an issue. I think the bigger thing is how we're going to respond.
Yeah.
We could sit and talk about last week all we want and take all the negatives out of it, but it's certainly not going to help us against the Mallards. So I'm not bringing that, obviously we had a good chat today, but I'm not bringing that into the locker room. I refuse. We have to go back to doing what we do when we were 8-1. And we need to let that surface on Friday night. I think it's good that we have the next 4 at home. Let us settle in a little bit, but I think we'll respond on Friday night with this group.
And I do too. I think that was an anomaly for sure. But a quick look at the standings here as we roll through this Wings Weekly. Bismarck right now still top of the division. They have played 13 games, 24 points, 26 points. But they did get a loss this weekend against Minot. St. Cloud, 13 games, 19 points. Wings with 11 games in and 16 points. Austin then with 13 games in, 16 points. Minot, 11 games in, 19 points. Minnesota Mallards, 14 games, 12 points. North Iowa, 12 games, 10 points. And Watertown, again, struggling a bit with 13 games in and 6 points. You mentioned it. You got to move on. You just got to put it behind you and try to make improvements. What are some keys going to be as you see this Mallard squad that you were able to sweep in Forest Lake just 2 weeks ago, and you get a chance to see them again? What do you see as some key key things that you guys have to do to come away with some points?
We have to control the play. We got to manage the puck, control the play, force them to have to defend against us. When we're doing that, we're a good hockey team. But when we're chasing the game, we're not so good. So we got to force them to chase the game, and we have to make sure that we can send all 4 lines after them, one after another, and build that momentum and continue to build it, and finish the game the right way. But we'll see how that goes. Obviously, we're dealing with some stuff here that that we need to figure out lineup wise. So we'll know more, towards the end of the week. But whatever we have, we're going to go after them.
All right. Final question. You generally, I shouldn't say generally, but you don't always practice on a Monday. How did things go today? Did the guys seem energized? Did they seem enthused and ready to get back after it and put that effort in?
Yeah, they wanted to work today. They wanted to work, and they did put in the work, and they felt good about it, and I think that was a good start to the week.
Yeah, for sure. Anything that you've seen from the Mallards on their end, perhaps, and I know you don't like sharing things like that, but I'm not asking necessarily for the nuts and bolts of it or whatever, but anything that, after being able to beat them twice in their building, is a recipe? And I know it sounds like the same question as what are the keys, but is there maybe something that you've seen from them where you can exploit or take advantage of?
Well, they're a hard-working group, and they get a lot of shots. They got a lot of volume on their shots, so we have to make sure that we try to limit their shots. If not, keep them to the perimeter of the ice rink. They work really hard. They're good on their line rushes, and we've seen that when we played them. They love to get up there and play with pace. So we got to match their pace or be better.
All right. Well, this weekend at the Odde Ice Center, folks, the Minnesota Mallards, and as Coach mentioned, 2 more at home the following weekend. But this weekend, Halloween weekend, with Halloween falling in the middle of the week, chance for kids to wear costumes and stuff like they love to do. And I always love asking you, what are the kids going to be this year?
It's a big secret.
Oh, come on.
I don't even know. I'm not even in on it. So I'll see it when you see it, I guess.
Well, your wife is very creative, so I'm sure that it'll be something very interesting, but I can't wait to see what case and amphib you have on, because that'll be fun. I got to say, though, I'm a little disappointed. I thought we could break the news.
Well, I'm behind, so I've had a full Sunday of thinking about bad hockey. So
I hear you. It's all about priorities. All right, folks, we're going to move on, and our second portion of Wings Weekly will come up. We'll have more information about the Halloween nights, I guess, both nights that are coming up here at the Odde Ice Center, and a chance for, as I mentioned, the kids to wear costumes and some candy and stuff going on Saturday night as well. So all that information coming up. Coach Langer, thank you so much for joining me. Good luck against the Mallards.
Thanks, Jay.
All right, folks, we move on to the second portion of Wings Weekly after this.
Pro Ag Supply leads the game with Channel Seed, liquid fertilizer, and tanks. With 3 generations of family service, we've spent over 40 years growing relationships with your family. So whether it's game day or planting day, Pro Ag Supply and Channel Seed are by your side. Pro Ag Supply.
L&O Transport and Farm wants you. They're currently hiring Class A CDL truck drivers and farm operators. Experience preferred, but not necessary. L&O offers great benefits like a 401k, 100% health, and year-end bonuses. Pay depends on experience, but wages are very competitive. They run the newest late model equipment and take pride in what they do. L&O Acres and Transport is a family-run business. Come be part of the L&O family. Give them a call at 605-226-0732.
All right, folks, second portion of Wings Weekly continues on, and as usual, we have a player joining us. This time it is the Wings captain, Luke Backel, born in Pennsylvania, but Madison, Alabama is where you call home now. You played your 100th game on the 19th of October, I believe it was, middle of the month there. I'm going to go a little harder on you.
Okay, I'm ready.
3-year guy, captain. I got some tough, hard-hitting questions here that I probably wouldn't throw at a first-year guy. But let's start. Of course, you've been on Wings Weekly as a 3-year guy. You've been on before, so people may have heard it, but maybe they haven't. Tell us a recap real quick of how you got your hockey start.
Yeah, so my dad, he grew up a hockey fan. He was always a Pittsburgh Penguins fan, being from Pittsburgh. And we moved back to Alabama. It's where his job relocated to. And I had a friend who said, come out and learn to skate. And shout out Camden. He's the one who got it started for me. I went out with him and kind of got started that way. And I just loved it ever since and just kept going with it and just stuck to it.
Well, I remember you saying that a big influence was a friend. And your dad, obviously, an influence certainly too. Were there any other influences that you had to get going in the hockey world? Maybe another relative or somebody like that maybe played a little bit, or you just kind of just strapped them on and said, let's go? Basically
strapped them on, let's go. No one in my family played hockey, so I'm kind of like the first of many, hopefully. So.
All right, let's get into the nuts and bolts of this. 3-year guy, 50 games your first year, 6 goals. 32 games your second year, 5 goals. Of course, that was injury shortened. 11 games so far this year, 5 goals. Do you know that you do the math, you're projected for 27 goals and 33 assists this season?
It's pretty good.
If you keep up at this pace,
just got to keep going.
Is that obtainable?
It is. I personally believe so. With this team that we have this year, I think that's a goal that I could achieve.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty impressive because, again, 5 goals already this season in 11 games. And, of course, an injury-shortened season last year, but 5 goals there and 6 goals in your first 50 with the Wings. That's pretty impressive. You've got a strong start. And I got to believe there's a level of comfortability and so on. And you, of course, we know have the C on your sweater. And there's, again, confidence and comfortability, all of those kinds of things probably, I would think, give you a little bit of maybe not an edge, but probably changes things a little bit from your first year with the Wings, for example. But I wanted to ask you a little bit about what's changed as your role. Maybe not even on the ice necessarily, but being a captain. And, I talked with Coach Langer about this earlier on in the season. But even in the showcase, I would notice guys, hey, Bax, where do we go with this? What do we do? They were coming to you. They were coming to you and Comfy and asking questions. And you could just feel sort of them gravitating towards you as a leader. So I wanted to ask you a little bit about how you feel like your role has evolved from when you first got here.
Yeah, of course. So my first year being a rookie, obviously it's a different adjustment. I'm just looking up to everyone who's been here before, seeing what they do, kind of learn what they do, and then kind of just build on it year after year. So being here for 2 years before, just knowing how the guys operate around here, it's kind of helped a lot. And being a third-year guy, I kind of know the ropes, and I can show everyone how it works around here and how we do it in the Wings organization. So.
Well, and that includes culture too. I mean, it's not only just the ropes as far as, here's our routine or whatever, but it's also how you conduct yourself. And that's a big part of it too, it seems. Which actually leads me to my next question, which is your maturity. The maturity and the growth that you've seen. How would you, I know this is kind of a tough question, but how would you characterize that? How would you kind of describe, when you get here as a rookie and you're just kind of wide-eyed and like, whoa, holy cow, and now you've matured and so on. Do you feel like both on and off the ice that there are some changes that, that you maybe can look back on and you've noticed?
Yeah, well, of course. So when I was here, I just buried my head. Like I looked up to Doobie my first year because he was always doing the right thing. So I would kind of just follow in his footsteps and see what was right, what was wrong. And there are some guys who do the wrong things. You just got to learn from that. So hopefully you don't want to be the one to make the mistake, but mistakes happen. So you just got to learn and you got to build on it. And that's how you get better as a team. That's how you get better as a culture. And that's how you develop a culture as a team.
Yeah. Well put. Very well put. And I don't know. I was thinking about this, earlier this morning about the differences, about how 3 years in junior hockey, it can make a huge difference. And not only the way you play the game, but the way you conduct yourself in the locker room, the way you address people, the way you are active in the community, and all of those kinds of things too. We talked a little bit about your stats. 5 goals already in 11 11 games. But one of the things that always stands out to me is your level of physicality.
Yeah.
You're not afraid. You actually, I'm not going to say you're not afraid. You actually seem like you enjoy finishing checks. And
that's how I grew up playing. That's how I was taught growing up, and I just kind of stayed that way my whole life.
The TransSource hit of the game has gone to you a handful of times, and there's been several times even on the road or whatever else where you could just hear the glass rattle or the boards shake, and you're just like, well, there's Backel again with another big hit. And that again is part of leading by example, because especially with teams like St. Cloud, who we just saw, the Mallards, I feel like the Mallards are a kind of a similar team in a lot of ways. They both kind of play with speed, little finesse, and one of the best ways, and Coach and I have talked about this ad nauseum. I mean, we've talked about it several times, but one of the best ways to combat that is with physicality. So when you're out there throwing a shoulder and making somebody think twice about how long they're going to hang on to the puck, that makes a big difference for sure. We're going to get into the upcoming weekend against the Mallards and talk a little about some of that here in just a little bit as well. But I wanted to specifically talk about the captain duties, maybe is the best word, all those kinds of things that just kind of come with a role like that. Were you surprised that you were given that honor, or did you kind of know that you're like, all right, I'm filling this role already, and you kind of knew it?
Kind of knew a little bit, not 100%. It was like 50-50 because me and Smack were talking all summer. Just kind of like, hey, you got to be a leader this year. Like, you're just going to be a leader. I never got officially told until it got announced the day of when everyone else knew. So it's kind of just, you just got to be that guy. You just got to be the leader. You just got to keep going. So.
Very cool. I always think that, if somebody, you could be a little bit blindsided by that. You know what I mean? Like, if you're like, oh, whoa, now I've got all this responsibility on me. But, coach being coach, and he's
been telling me that since day one. Since my first year here, he said, just be a leader out here. Just keep going. So it's kind of been building over the last 3 years.
Well, and, obviously was the winningest coach in the NAHL. He knows a little bit about what he's talking about and knows how to lay that groundwork for players, too. Let's talk a little bit about your family. You mentioned your dad being a fan and, following hockey and so on, but your mom and your dad, even I think I was told that your grandma even was able to come to a home game here a couple of weeks.
Yeah, they want to make every home game they can. They always want to come and watch, and I love how they're so supportive of me, and they're always out here, and just add to the fans list. So.
Well, certainly the support, and that's exactly where I was going with that. It was, what does it mean to you to have that, to have them be able to be here cheering you on and have that level of support? Because I'll be perfectly honest, not everybody has that. Not everybody has the ability to have family here on a regular basis, or even from time to time. Sure, they check in on the phone, or maybe they FaceTime or things like that, but it's not quite the same. So how much has that meant to you?
It's awesome, and it's even a confidence boost, just knowing they care for you, knowing they're here, and just gives you someone to lean back on in the future. So
you kind of come from a horse family.
Yeah, I do.
You cowboy?
No.
You ride?
I've rode once, and it didn't go too well. Like, the first time ever riding, my sister's like, here, hop on the horse. First time, she makes me go over a jump, and I just fall right off. So I was like, nope, not doing this again. And I haven't rode in probably 6-7 years. I was like, it's not for me. I leave that to her. She's good at it. So.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. All right. It was funny because I got to thinking about this when I was writing this question down about you, like how much you ride.
And my mom's like, no. She's like, I can't let you get hurt. She goes, what if they find out you got hurt from riding a horse? I'm like, yeah, I know. It probably wouldn't be good.
I don't know, maybe you saw it, maybe you didn't. But during the Olympics, Snoop Dogg was doing play-by-play for a dressage event, and I was laughing so hard at his comments about, this is equestrian right here. That horse out there crip walking. I got to get him in a video. He's gangster.
I saw snippets of it. I didn't watch the Olympics this year. I probably watched one basketball game the last 5 minutes, but I didn't really watch the Olympics this year, so I just saw snippets of it, and I know what you're talking about.
It's pretty comical, and I was like, yeah, there's Backel out there riding that horse, man, crip walking. All right, I got to ask you this, and I don't know if it's because we usually film this around lunchtime, why I always ask about food, but what if you had one food to eat for an entire year, what would it be? What would, if you wouldn't get sick of, that you would go for?
Steak bruschetta board, $3.22. I've been doing it. It's probably had it twice already this week. Probably gonna go get it again today. It's probably the game plan. So I don't know. Whatever they're doing over there, whatever they put in, it's just probably the best thing there is.
How about your billet, Mom? What's your favorite one?
She cooks a lot of good food. You know Heather, she's always making the best food. So I don't know, she makes really good meatball subs that she's been making recently. Swedish meatballs, her steaks. Well, sometimes I'll cook steaks there too as well. Like I'll help out with cooking. Burgers. She makes all of it. Everything's good. You can eat anything.
Yeah.
I'm not picky at all, so.
Yeah, I'm not really picky either, but still, some of the stuff that I've heard Heather makes, I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What is it?
Sometimes you'll be like, I don't know what it is, but it's good. So it's just like, all right. It's good.
All right, your song that gets you going. Now, I'm not going to ask you about your playlist or anything, but like, what song can you go to that gets you fired up before a game or for anything really? But it's just what's your go-to?
I'm not really picky. It kind of shuffles because I'm not like a superstitious guy. So really anything like in the rap culture I'll usually do, or sometimes I'll mix in some like AC/DC every once in a while. It just depends on what mood I'm in, what I'm feeling. So.
Connie shocked me last week when he said that he goes with Southern Nights from Glenn Campbell.
Oh, that's a curveball.
Came out in 1978, I think, or something, and I looked at him like, what? How do you even know what that song is? But
sometimes country might come on before the game. You don't know. It just depends.
Yeah. All right, ran through a few of these things, and again, this is your third trip on Wings Weekly, so I don't want to keep you too long, and I don't know, beat a dead horse, no pun intended there. But so I won't keep you much longer. But you've got the Minnesota Mallards coming up at the Odde Ice Center coming up this weekend, and a team that you saw in Forest Lake in their building, and you swept them. A pretty good, skilled, fast skating team. What do you feel like as a group? When obviously it's probably a little too early to look at film for the week, but they come off a split with North Iowa. But you've seen this team. You know what they do. You know what they can do and what they do well, and the top power play in the entire league. What do you feel like as a group you guys have to do to come away, with some points this weekend?
Yeah, like you said, they're a younger team. They don't have as much experience as us, so you got to just play physical, just play our way. And when we play our way, you saw what happened last time. 1-2 games, so that's probably what we're going to do this weekend and come out with the same result.
Well, that sounds like a plan, and I always say that hope is not a good plan for success, so that is not part of it. In this case, it's like, let's do what we did when we were there in Minnesota, so that's awesome. A lot of fun stuff that we're going to take a moment to talk about here. This weekend, November 1st and 2nd versus the Minnesota Mallards, as we just talked about. Friday night is Halloween night, presented by Wireless World. It's also NSU night. Kids, come on out, and it's also NSU night, as I mentioned, so students receive discounted tickets at the door, or contact the Student Activities Office for your tickets. Saturday night, Halloween night again, and we've got, you know what? That's the nice thing about Halloween falling in the middle of the week. Kids get a chance to wear their costumes like 3-4 times all throughout. You got all kinds of different events going on. And this is another opportunity for them to do that. Join us on the ice after the game for the Crafted Interiors Skate with the Wings. And again, that night is presented by the Optimist Club. Next weekend, November 8th and 9th versus the Austin Bruins. Friday night is Rooster Rush, presented by the Aberdeen area CVB and the AARP. Saturday night is the Sanford Health Foundation Children's Miracle Network jersey auction, presented by the Sanford Health Foundation. Tickets available at tickets.aberdeenwings.com or at any of the Sea Express locations in Aberdeen. Sponsorships and reserved season tickets are now available for the 2024-2025 season. Call Aaron at 605-380-5852 for more information. For all the latest news and information on the Wings, visit aberdeenwings.com or follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and probably watching this here on YouTube. So Luke Backel, again, congratulations on your 100th game. That was a couple weeks back now. Good luck coming up against the Minnesota Mallards, and thank you so much for taking some time to join us.
Thank you, Jay.
All right, folks, that'll wrap up this week's Wings Weekly.